Hey guys, welcome to episode 1 of Learn to Knit Like a Maniac. In this episode, I'm going to be teaching you all about knitting needles. Thanks for watching. Since I'm teaching you the art of hand knitting, I thought it was important to give you an idea of the different types of needles that are available and what their purposes are. So it can be really confusing, like looking at my needle stash. It looks awful, but really there's only 3 different types of needles that are used the most in knitting, and straight needles are one of them here. They come in sets of 2 with points on one end and caps on the other, and they're used to knit things flat, like a dishcloth or a scarf. And so I'm going to be teaching my beginner knitters how to knit on straight needles. Then when you move on to some more advanced techniques and you want to knit something in the round, like these little baby leg warmers, socks, mittens, you're going to want to learn how to use double pointed needles, which come in sets of 4 or 5, and they have points on either end, and you work together using them all together to knit circular. Now a lot of people, until they're ready to knit circular, they knit something flat, and then like you would when you're sewing, knit a seam on the side and make it circular. But as you get into knitting more, you'll find that that's such a tedious job, seaming things. And so knitting something seamless on circular needles is just a wonderful, wonderful thing to learn how to do. Now, this is for small circumference knitting when you use the double pointed needles. Now, if you're knitting something with a larger circumference, like these little baby pants that I knit here, you can use circular needles, which are 2 needles attached by a cord, and you knit with this one needle, and you're knitting it circular, knitting it around, and it's much smoother than double pointed needles, and I really prefer that. You can knit things like this leg could be knit easily on double pointed needles, but it's so much nicer to knit it on a small circular needle. So I used a size 12-inch long circular needle for the legs here, and a 16-inch long circular needle for the top part. So learning how to knit on circular needles is a wonderful thing when you get more advanced. And now this funny thing that I'm knitting here was supposed to be a slouchy hat, but even advanced knitters like me can mess up on their gauge sometimes, and so I figured the gauge wrong, and I knit this incredibly large, huge thing, and I put it on my head, and oh my gosh, you're kidding me, what did I do wrong? So I'm turning this into a scrappy, slouchy bag, actually, and so I use this big, long circular needle, and that's how I'm knitting this in the round. So that gives you a rundown of the different types of needles, from straight needles to double pointed needles to circular needles. And it's nice to have a little knitting gauge like this to check your needle sizes of your double pointed needles as you gain them in your stash. Like a lot of mine, a lot of these were given to me. Most of them were my grandmother's. I've added some to it since, but they get mixed up, and I'll drop it and spill them all out. And double pointed needles don't have sizes on them, so it's handy to have one of these little sizers to stick your needles in and figure out what size it is. Now, straight needles usually have a size either on the cap or on the side, like these bamboo needles here have the size written right across the side. So, okay, so I hope that helped you get a little understanding of the 3 main types of needles that are used for knitting. And I'm going to move on now to my next episode, and I hope that this has really helped you out to get an understanding so you're not confused about the different needles, because it can look overwhelming, but it really isn't. It's really pretty basic. So let's move on.